Hello, my sunrays. This is Dust Your Wings Off as You Rise by Monkeygirl77. The art that is on the thumbnail and a little bit in the video is not done by me. It's done by my friend Glitterbug, and I really appreciate her for doing this because I know she was doing a lot of other stuff for other things, and I just want to give her a shout out because, it's amazing. I tell you, because I can never do that. So thank you, Glitterbug, for doing this for me. Technically, I'm gonna count this as a 300 subscriber special. If you heard that, I'm sorry. Um, but if my voice sounds different in the intro, besides for the actual fic, it's because I recorded that ahead of time. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy. And without further ado, let's get into it. Dust your wings off as you rise. By Monkeygirl77. Summary. This is Tokoyami. He is my intern from the Heroes course. He turns to the emo bird boy and gestures to the two of them. Tokoyami, these are my two new civilian assistants. Hitoshi snorts softly under his breath. How many personal helpers does one birdman need? Izuku shoots, snorts, and elbows him discreetly. Hot scars at him because yes, he did hear that fucking brat. Chapter 1. He stumbled upon it by pure chance. A sign in the window. How cliche was that? A hero agency looking to hire another analyst, and announcing it to the public by window sign. He snorts to himself and continues to track down the sidewalk. The bag of food he'd purchased in one hand, a new med kit in the other, going ignored by the rest of the crowd bustling around him. He looks around him and makes his way down to the dumping ground that had once been known as Dagoba Beach. Upon making assurance that no one was watching him, as to follow him inside and ask questions so to why he was walking inside. He stepped forward, and stepping into the mess, the path was like a maze, and if one didn't know the true path to the hideout, they'd become easily lost in the numerous trails and paths they created for a sense of security. Izu, I'm back, he announced himself as he crosses the edge of the sky high piles of trash and ducks into the shelter they'd simply thrown together, collapsing back into his companion. I saw something interesting today. Mirai Izuku looked up from his invention he was working on. Thankfully, it hadn't blown up yet. The odds weren't in its favor of it not blowing up. Hey, Hito. He turned back to his creation, and as his bro from another hoe pulls an apple out of his bag into pulls an out of bag Jesus pulls an apple out of his bag into his hand before setting it down next to him. What'd you see? An agency looking for an analyst. He bites into his apple and chews, swallowing before he continues on. They're looking for an analyst. The green-hat pauses and is tinkering, looking up at his purple-haired friend. You're not shitting me, right? No. Hitoshi shakes his head and takes another bite of his apple. I swear I'm being as serious as a fucking heart attack. Izuku stares at him for a long moment, as he tries to tell him, as if trying to tell him if trying to tell if he was in fact being as serious as he was claiming he was. And upon finding nothing that proved as such, he sets his creation down on the side table and pushes himself to his feet. Come on, let's pay for analysts. They pay for analysts. I don't know how much, but it's better than what we're making now. We're not making anything now. He points a finger at him. Exactly. Leaning over, he grabs his brother's arms and pulls him up. Come on, we can both be analysts. He points a finger. The other boy stares at him. But I'm not an analyst. Right, I know that. You know that. But they, he points a finger in the general direction of the agency, don't know that. We can say that you you and I all do the work for the both of us, and we'll cash out 2 for 1. Shinzo considers that and finishes his apple. That could work, you evil genius. Damn straight, I'm an evil genius. Izuku tugs his friend forwards by the sleeve. Come on, let's go inquire about applications before anyone else does, and we lose this opportunity of a lifetime. He nods, tossing the apple core over his shoulder, and makes his way through the maze before his once more as his brother tugs him along, going unnoticed once more as they break to the edge of the dumping grounds and walk calmly up the sidewalk. The airy, you say? The purpleette nods faintly. Yeah, why? That's Hawk's agency. Hitoshi hums. That's cool. I like him. Think we'll ever actually meet him? Press X doubt. But miracles do happen. They stare at the doors to the hero agency for a long moment before exchanging a glance, nodding, and pushing the doors open as they make their entrance. The receptionist looks up at them as they come to the door before her desk to stand before her desk and offers them a kind smile. Hello, what can I do for you 2 boys? Nothing is said until Hitoshi elbows the other boy and Izuku jolts out of his thoughts. Oh, yeah, we saw the sign in the window for kind of cliche, but hilarious at the same time. And I wanted to inquire about applications. I wanted to inquire about applications. She looked over them. The age requirement is 18. She nods. We are 18. She looks them over again. Do you have proof of verification? Both boys nod, fishing in their pockets to find their empty wallets and pull out their ID each, handing it over to the woman behind the desk. Her eyes scan them scarily, certainly, as though trying to find any evidence of their falseness, and sighs when she inevitably finds nothing. Their guy's incredible skill at crafting and producing fake identification cards, passing them back. All right, she turns away from them for some papers on the other side of her desk and turns back, pulling them out. Here are the applications. Fill them out and return them as soon as possible. The brunette nods, flipping through the pages. The example per portion. Does it have to be hero or villain? She hums for a moment. Either one. He nods again. Can we do it? Can we possibly borrow a pen? She blinks at them in surprise, but nods nonetheless, reaching for a pair of pens and passes them over to them. Where are you going to fill them? You're going to fill them out here? Joshi nods slightly. Is it allowed? Yeah, sure. She gestures to the waiting area. No problem. They both thank her, turning away, not seeing her watch them as they cross the threshold of the lobby and set themselves down before turning back to her computer. The applications are pretty basic. The information is requested, the general information requested, and the names for references. And when they come to the example request, Hitoshi hits a dead end. He's the security personnel of their little gang, not the analyst one. He turns to his partner. Izu, I can't do this. His brother stares at him. His brother spares the receptionist a glance and discreetly holds out his completed example because of course he already because of course he's completed already. Here, trade me. The receptionist is surprised when they return 5 minutes later with their completed applications. Well, that was fast, she said. She sets them aside. We'll contact you in 3 to 4 business days if we accept your application. About that, Midoriya taps his finger on the countertop. Our phone is currently out of order. Could we just physically come by in 3 to 5 business days to check on the state of our application? She blinks at them. Sure, I guess. Thanks. Both boys her a good bid her a good afternoon as they took their leave. She watches them disappear out the door before turning to the applications and skimming through the pages. Midoriya, Izuku, and Shinso Hitoshi. Huh. Very interesting. You're right. You're right. He hums on as he eyes them on the computer screen. They can't possibly be they can't possibly buy 18. He pauses the security footage a bit more and pauses again. Look, Green just passed the purple page of his application. He chuckles softly. They're really trying to cheat the system. In essence, they're trying to cheat me. I like that. I want them around. He plays it on for a bit until he finds a better angle and pauses. They don't seem well kept. Could be a sign of parental neglect, but worse, abuse. Did they list a place of residence? The receptionist nods slightly. They did. We checked it to verify authoritatively. Hawks. They listed a place of residence as an apartment building that was torn down 4 years ago. Hiro nods slightly, frowning as he watches the two boys leave the lobby of his agency. Hire them. She nods slightly. As analyst, Hawk smirks and shakes his head. There's a mystery here. There's something wasn't right. But he was going to pick it. He was going to be a part of the fucking Scooby-Doo gang and solve it. No. He turns to look at the receptionist. Hire them as my assistants. She looks up when she sees the door open out of the corner of her eye and turns away from the computer she's typing on to greet the two boys as they came to lean against the edge of her desk, and she smiled. What can I do for you today, boys? Purple smiled. We came to check on our applications. Ah, yes. She turns away from them and opens the middle drawer of the filing cabinet built in her desk. Withdraws 2 badges and turns back, holding them out. You've been hired. Congratulations. Let me show you up the way up. They both smile at her and back away as she stands from her desk. She steps out from behind it and gestures for the two to follow as she crosses the room to the elevator. Her heels click, clocking all the way there. She presses a button for the elevator and gestures for the two to enter when it opens, and they watch her press the top button, the highest level, and exchange glances, not understanding why they were going all the way to the top, but shrug it off. Whatever. The elevator dings when it opens. Their guide waves at the receptionist there, and they briefly wonder how many damn receptionists work here. And she opens the door to a large office space, gesturing for them to step in when they don't move, and she follows them in, leaving the door open behind her. She's not staying long. This is Hawks' office. He wanted to see you when you arrived. He's currently out with his hero intern, but she'll be back shortly. They both turn to look at her with wide eyes. And she smiled, gesturing to the office as a whole. He said to make yourselves comfortable until he got back. They nod faintly and turn back around to survey the office as she makes her leave, hearing the door click softly behind them as she closes it, and they just stare, completely mystified, until Izuku breaks the silence, elbows him, and points. Look, Hito, there's a balcony. Hitoshi grins and steps forward, dragging the greenette forward until he moves on his own, at his side, as they cross the hero's office and step out onto onto the balcony, over to the edge, and look over. They're so fucking high up. If I jump, I bet I would die. Izuku nods. For sure. You'd haunt me, right? A fucking course. The purple-haired teen grins again, like a Casper, but the fucking friendly ghost. The greenette shakes his head. Press X for doubt. His brother grins again and smacks him on the shoulder. I dare you to balance on the guardrail. Izuku turns at him in shock. What if I fucking fall, asshole? Hitoshi shrugs. Flap your arms, squawk like a bird, and pray you fly. The greenette grins. I wonder if Hawks ever squawks, 'cause he's a bird. Yeah, for sure. The purpleette nods. He's a fucking bird man. Of course he fucking squawks. The smaller teen stares at him. First one to get him to squawk doesn't have to do groceries for a whole fucking month. I'll take that as a fucking deal. The taller teen holds his hand, fucking shake to seal it. They shake hands and look over the edge. I'm gonna do it. Hitachi turns to him surprised. Are you fucking serious? He nods, as a fucking heart attack. Help me up. The purple-haired teen lifts him up, holding his back of his hoodie firmly as he settles himself and gains his balance before letting go. I wish I had a fucking camera. How long? 10 minutes. The green neck concentrated, waving slightly when the wind blows, waving his arms slightly as he regains balance. How am I doing? Hitoshi holds up a thumb, leaning back to peer at the clock on Hawk's desk before turning around and, because he's a huge asshole, he jumps forward. Izu, watch out! Izu jumps in surprise and waves his arms as he loses his balance, screaming when he flips backwards, hands curling under his arm, and he is lifted into the air, instinctively reaching up and curling his fingers around their arm, and fucking punches his brother when his feet touch solid ground. You fucking asshole. The purple teen laughs and shakes and leans away from him. You lasted 8 minutes when I saw Hawks coming. He doubled over laughing. The look on your fucking face. Affirmated pro hero clears his throat. It takes him a minute, but the boys soon gain their composure and turn to look at the man glaring up at them, crossed arms, and emo bird boy standing beside him. What the hell were you two doing standing on the rail like that? What the hell were you doing standing on the rail like that? Neither of them speak. Do you have a death wish or something? Zhu keeps his face completely even as he responds, Yes, I do. Hitoshi snorts as he curls a hand over his mouth when the hero turns to stare at his brother before turning to him. And you, did you dare him to? Sorry. And you, did you dare him to do this? The purple-haired boy regains his composure. Poof, or it didn't happen. Hawk stares at him for a long moment, sighing deeply, pinching the bridge of his nose, because what in the fuck had he gotten himself into? And gestures to the emo bird boy by his side. This is Tokoyami. He's my intern from the heroics course. He turns to the emo bird boy and gestures to the two of them. Tokoyami, these are my new civilian assistants. Hitoshi snorts softly and mutters under his breath. How many personal assistants does one Birdman need? Zhu snorts and elbows him discreetly. Hawks glares at him because, yes, he did hear that, fucking brat. Okay, Birdmaster, Hitoshi groans, ignoring his brother's muttering as he works on his new analysis he was given, setting his pen down to stretch his hand after completing fucking 15 pages out of the stack of paperwork his boss had to complete. Hawks turns to in insight that he has his attention. How dense are your feathers right now? Hero looks at him with an eyebrow raised. Not that, not at all. Normal feathers. Purple nods sorrowfully. Can you, give one up that sharp? Hawk stares at him because he knows where this is going. Why? So I can fucking kill myself to get away from the suffering. Hiro shakes his head and returns the paperwork. No. Hitoshi is not ashamed to say that he whines. Why? Because if I have to suffer, you have to suffer with me. Hitoshi and Izuku lean back in their seats in front of their boss bird's desk, talking softly between themselves about anything and everything. Hawks is typing away on his computer, but they know he's listening. Okay, Hito, I just had an epiphany. The greenette suddenly starts. The purple nods. Lay it on me. Izuku nods. Breaking your bones makes them stronger. Hiro groans because it's been a month since he'd hired them and he's still not used to these things. Okay, he might be, but they exasperate him just as much as they did then, now. No, that's not how it works, and no, you're not allowed to test that theory. Joshi hums contemplatively, but no, you're not allowed to get other people to test the theory either. Here, Izuki slams a pile of papers on his desk and looks down at them in surprise for a moment. The Yuriza gang, every member, 2 pages each, signed, sealed, delivered. Kid, how long did this take you? Hawks raised an eyebrow and as he flips through the pages. Small lettering, more detail than his own actual analyst had gotten, and looked up at the kid, and promptly sighs. Kid, you look like hell warmed over. Did you, get any actual sleep? The greenette leans back against the front of the desk, shoving his hands in his pocket of his present mic hoodie. The only two of his staff allowed to wear whatever they please, as long as it was presentable. They were his 2 assistants. Four four of 4.5 days of sleep, and sleep is for the weak. My people haven't slept in years. Toshi raises a hand from his relined position on the couch. I begin sleep. You don't know her. The hero heaves another large sigh and shakes his head. No, nope. Both of you lay on that couch and sleep. Joshi raises his hand, a thumbs up. Midoriya straddles him and turns away from his brother. Midoriya salutes him and turns away as his brother flops himself into a lying position and flops down on top of him, making him grunt from the impact. They're both out like a light in approximately 2 minutes. Sila, the receptionist outside of office, opens the door and steps in, as silently as she could be as she notices sleeping boys on the couch, and crosses over to the desk boss to hand him a letter they'd received. Put your baby birds to sleep? Hawks glares at her, but there's no heat in it. It's a running joke in the agency at this point, where he was. The 2 aren't found behind him. They aren't my baby birds. The receptionist shoots him a look that reads, "Sure, I believe that." Right, and I'm not the grandmother of 3. She taps the top of the paper, just came in from Nezu. Apparently, there was an incident with one of All Might's classes. He looks up at her in, incredulously. They let that buffoon teach children? Sheila snorts softly, but nods. Indeed, they did. Now, as I was saying, there was an incident in one of his classes. Apparently, there was a kid in the class that had an explosive quirk. And what? He lost control? She shakes her head. No, quite the contrary. He nearly killed another student. Apparently, All Might merely told him not to use the weapons that were somehow approved under Nezu's nose, and failed to deliver any sort of reprimand for his actions. I'm still trying to grasp the idea that they let him teach. The receptionist chuckled softly. Well, apparently, his request was completed over Nezu's head, and he's not allowed to fire him because of him being the number one hero. Bad publicity? Exactly, she nods. So Nezu wants you to teach the class for him. Teach the class for him, as a supervisor of sorts. So to make sure this doesn't happen again. Hawk sighs. Why me? So Sheila smiles and straightens. Well, how would Shinzo phrase it? Because you don't take no shit from no hoe. From no side hoes. Damn straight goddess. Hitoshi, his hawks, looks around her, points a finger at him, and snaps, Go to sleep. Go to sleep. And returns his attention to the paper. Looks like me and the baby birds are going to UA. Thought so, Sheila called over her shoulder as she makes her leave. Have fun, Papa Bird. She takes a few minutes. He takes a few minutes to question his life decisions as he watches the boys sleep on the couch. Wait, when did they become his? Hawks doesn't question it when he tells them that he's going to UA and needs to pack their bags because they're coming too. And the teachers and family that come along with them stay in the teacher's dorms, which they appear when they appear with two backpacks, one each, a large stuffed shark, grinning like troublesome fledglings they are. He just doesn't question it. Not at all, because he doesn't want to know. Well, he sent his bags parallel ahead, so he doesn't know why they only have two bags each, since they're going to be living there for some time to come. But not the giant stuffed shark that he doesn't want to know about. He curls their backpacks over his shoulder and squats, curling his arms around their waist, because, of course, they're taking the prestigious Hawks Airlines, and opens his wings. Ready? They both nod. Hitoshi hugs the stuffed shark tightly and he jumps into the air. Midnight, and oh my fucking god, it's midnight, coos at the two boys that follow their newest teacher into the teacher's lounge before class. Hawks, are these your baby birds? The blonde shakes his head. No. And at the same time, green and purple nod in complete unison and say, Yes. Earshead snorts when Hawks heaves an exasperated sigh. Same. The R-rated hero smiles at them and winks. Look, Papa Bird, they're wearing Hawks hoodies. He turns, because no, he didn't see that when what they were wearing before they left, and sighs another exasperated sigh. Really? Hitoshi, like the little shit he is, smiles up at him with too much innocence for a little gremlin. We wanted to support our Papa Bird. Midnight coos again, and Hawks turns to her, waving a hand. They're not my baby birds, they're my assistants, and a pair of little shits. The dark-haired man in the corner, stuffed in a glorious yellow sleeping bag, snorts again. They sound like problem children. You have no fucking idea. They both snap their attention to the hero's gold eyes turn to them and points to the couch. Sit. Aye aye, Birdmaster. They both salute and step forward, flopping down on the couch, scooting apart when the bird man waves a hand to them to indicate that he's sitting too. And he does not curl. He does not curl his wings around them because they're not his baby birds. If you ask the two other, they'll confirm he did, and they are. He just doesn't know it yet or won't acknowledge it yet. Work in progress. Hawks pointedly decides he's going to ignore the knowing look Midnight sends him his way because shut up. Hitoshi and Izuku lean forward to sign to each other, and yes, he knows what they're saying, but no, they're not being rude, so he just rests there, waiting for the other teachers to arrive. President Mike enters next, prepared to greet everyone loudly, but falls dead silent at the stare Purple sends him because Eraserhead is trying to sleep. Is trying to fucking sleep, and that's fucking rude as hell. And Midnight laughs at them. Hey, uh, hey little listeners, are you here with Hawks? Purple and Green nod and pat their papa bird. Midnight knows. Hawks. She's no fool. She sees it, on the stomach slightly. Yes, we double as his baby birds and assistant. Midnight notices that Hawks doesn't deny a thing they'd said when he greets Yamada in turn. And then All Might comes in. And the reaction of the two boys have the number one hero in both surprise and in training. Interesting. In training. Partly because All Might is in his Yagi Toshinori form, and they seemingly know that he's All Might even without that form, outside of that form. And also partly because Green ducks into Hawks' arms, and Purple swears as he leans forward, taking off his shoes and chucking them at the older blonde's face. Fucking fuckwad, you son of it. You son of a bitch, how dare you say that to my brother? He can too be a fucking hero, you fucking ass. He's cut off when Hawks curls and hand around his mouth. Oh my, I'm so sorry about him. The entranced blonde rubs at his head where the kid's shoes had made contact, and leaned forward to pick up Purple's makeshift projectiles with the intent of returning them. He's standing in front of him when Hitoshi manages to move Hawks' hand just enough. Hey, All Might, how does it feel to be a quirkus asshole? Hawks looks over when he feels Izuku duck further into his arm, and back around when he sees All Might fall limp. After starting to respond, then dropping his shoe in his hand, dropping it on the floor. All the present teachers sit up equally parts confused and shocked, but they go ignored by Purple. Punch yourself in the face as hard as you can. They look from Purple to the man in front of him, and wide eyes widen when he curls his right hand into a fist and does what he's told to, and he stumbles back, blinking in surprise, blood dripping from his nose. Eyes turn to Purple, who looks every part as satisfied as every part of a satisfied alley cat. Beautifully done, Shinzo Hitoshi. Your quirk is brainwashing, if I'm not mistaken. Nezu appears from fucking nowhere. I'm glad to see you without a muzzle this time. Hitoshi curls a hand around his mouth and curls back into Hawks' side, gripping the side of his coat with his fingers with his free hand, tears welling from his eyes as the mere reminder. He knows that the principal hadn't said it in spite. The conversation tone was pure, and the sympathy that drips from every word was plain as day. He ignores the eyes, squeezing them shut, as the memories wash over him. He snaps out of his unpleasantness by an arm pulling him into his side, as of the hero sitting next to him. Green peeks out from behind Hawks' arms and glares. Don't you dare say he's a fucking villain. The stout holds up a paw in a placating gesture. Oh, the contrary, Midori Izuku. His quirk would make quite a hero. He turns to Purple. Would you be interested in the hero question, so? Shinso lowers his hand, and he looks with a look of a man who's seen too many broken things with the word hero, shakes his head sharply and spits out a no, which only adds to their growing concern for Hawks' baby birds. And yes, we know Hawks. You're as subtle as an elephant in a china shop because of the fierceness behind his dwell. Something's clearly here. Midnight meets the winged hero's eyes and nods sharply because most certainly something they're going to talk about a later time. Green breaks the silence and gestures to All Might. Who let this fuckwad teach fucking children? All Might dabs the blood dripping from his nose. It's starting to slowly stop now. Stop. Now that's not a very heroic thing to say, young Midoriya. Green glares at him with a heat of 1,000 suns. But I can't be a hero, remember? Remember the day on the roof? Fucking All Might? I can't be a hero. Green flicks him off. Remember me? I should be more realistic, you said. It's a it's a good dream, but I should be more fucking realistic. A fucking cop, or a fucking doctor. But no, not a hero. Green is like a feral animal foaming at the mouth. There's clearly a history between the two of them, and Purple nods along, glaring the glare that caused President Mike to fall short in his loud greeting. I should have became a fucking villain. Oh, the things I know about you, your so-called secret. Remember that? Remember how I know I could de- de- debra- decapitate you in a fucking set. Hawk curls a hand around their heads and pushes their faces into his side, while glaring at the number one hero, the glare of an animal who's just spotted a creature that's harmed their young. Yaki, Snipe leans forward. Did you really tell Green he couldn't be a hero? All Might doesn't even sound the slightest bit remorseful when he responds. Well, yes, a quirkless child cannot be a hero. They'd be outnumbered, a liability on the battlefield. That shouldn't be there. Hawks yelps when he feels a sharp pinch at the base of his wing and jumped away, giving the opportunity to the boys the opportunity to duck under his arms and launch themselves at the infinite hero, infinite man. Green, because he clearly had some built-up hatred for the man, not that they could blame him, and Purple, undoubtedly at the words he'd just spoken about his brother. The teachers rise because though they loathed to discover this after this discovery, they cannot allow him to be harmed by two rapid teenagers. Hawks catches them around the waist though, lifting them off their feet, carrying them towards the door, glaring at the older blonde, and jerking his head as an order to step aside. As he carries the struggling teenagers out of the lounge, kicking the door behind him, All Might, Eraserhead grinds out. That's the most quirkiest bullshit I've ever heard. I basically fight quirkless. He catches them again when he sets them down, as they immediately turn back, pushing them back again. No, no. He presses a hand to their chest to keep them in place. No, I know he's wrong. I know you both very clearly hate him, but no, you cannot harm him. The purple-haired boy growls and pushes against his hold. I can take him, hurt him, make him hurt himself. Hawks nods. I know you can, Hitoshi. I know. but that would make you just as wrong as him, and you're better than that, baby bird, so no. No, you cannot brainwash him into hurting himself. Let me stab him, just once. One little knife paper cut. Izuku pushes against the bird hero. Just once, in the face, that's it, nothing else. Okay, no, that's definitely a no. He turns a sharp glare at the taller teen. Hitoshi, stay. He clutches the green bean around the waist when he manages to duck under him, turning his back around again. Hitoshi's still in place, like a good baby bird, and he squeezes the green up close. Izuku, no. I know what he did was cruel and unwarranted. I know how much it must have hurt, but no, you cannot, you need to calm down. No, you are not allowed to stab him. I don't even know how you managed to, and I don't want to know, but no. He nods when the smaller teen finally falls still and sets him on his feet, looking between Izuku and Hitoshi. Baby birds, I know he hurt both of you, one directly and one indirectly, but you two are better than him. Don't stoop that low. Be better and stay with me, and everything will be fine. Green leans back against him, hugging him slightly, patting him slowly, gets himself under control, and Hitoshi huffs and steps forward, pressing himself into his chest, and he wraps his arms around him instinctively. Fucking fine. But I'm still doing it in my dreams. The hero chuckles softly. That's fine, as long as it stays in your dreams. Hitoshi huffs again. Fucking fine. Hawks. Hawk smiles at the two boys. Call me Keiko, baby birds. Okay, fucking fine. They were his baby birds. So fucking what? Okay. They both stand at attention when the hero turns to them and points a stern finger at them. Behave, baby birds. Izuku grins. We're fucking angels, Keigo. The blonde man looks between them. Behave, you little gremlins. Both teenagers nod, saluted once more, and watch him leave the teacher's lounge, leaving them on their own. Now they can easily entertain themselves. They draw mustaches and eyebrows on a poster of All Might and Endeavor. Rentrid regauge the figures, toss paper balls around, throw insults at each other, and then they grow bored and flop over to lay on the floor as they wait for death to take them. Hiroshi tilts his head and glances up. A vent. He has a grand idea. Izu? Yes, Hito? He raises an arm and points at the vent. There's an air vent. Green's eyes follow his arm, and Green smiles. Want to go exploring? My ho, I thought you'd never ask. My ho, I thought you'd never ask. And that is how Izuku finds himself standing on Hitoshi's shoulders, wobbling as he tries to maintain his balance, and reaches up carefully to lift the air vent lid and slide it aside, and carefully pulls himself up, squirming and kicking as he pulls himself inside. Turning around, he leans over, carefully holding himself up, reaching down for his brother's hand. He grunts as he pulls his brother up, swearing under his breath, struggling until he manages to grab onto the edge of the air vent and pull himself in. Hitoshi replaces the vent cap and turns back to his brother. Izu, I just had a thought. We don't know our way around the vents as we do the vents at the arrow. What if we get lost? Ah, my dearest brother. Izuku holds up a finger. If we do get lost, we find another open vent and jump down. Easy peasy. Purple nods. Oh, okay. I didn't think of that. No, you did not. Izuku turns. Come on, my hoe. Izuku crawls forward, and They moved quickly but quietly. They perfected the art of being vent gremlins. The stop The stop over the open vent, Midnight's voice fluttered through the cracks of the vent, and they listened for a good couple of minutes, because they are interested in pre-Quark era art. Hitoshi wanted to try and spray painting. He was down. They were still working out the fine print details. They crawled forward away from the air vent cover and down the length of the vent itself, make a sharp turn right, and follow the sounds of another voice. Hitoshi covers his mouth to keep from making any sort of noise when he realizes it's a Razorhead because, oh my god, it's a Razorhead, and I love him. He's my number two favorite hero. Hawks is number one, for obvious reasons. But Eraserhead's a close second. They lean in close to hear what he's saying. Their eyes widen when they hear Keigo's voice introducing himself as their new heroics teacher. Hitoshi yelps when Izuku leans forward too far and starts floundering to catch himself, shoves the greenet back to find himself falling through the vent cover with a loud yelp, arms catching him, and he smiles, taking a moment to make sure he's actually not dreaming while he's unconsciously on the floor. Not dreaming while he's unconscious on the floor. Before turning up to meet his eyes with an unimpressed Keigo, who is silently giving off the ultra aura that says, one request. I give you one request. One very simple request. And he curls an arm around his neck to hug him. Thanks, Papa Bird. He feels Keigo smile against his cheek before setting him down at his feet. The winged hero looks up at the vent. Izuku, you come down too. He nods when he nods when the greenet head comes into view and he raises his arm. I'll catch you, baby bird. The small teenager dangles his legs over the edge of the vent opening and slides down, trusting the man to catch him, as he says he would, and he does. The greenet is quick in following his brother's example and curls an arm around his neck. Thank you, Papa Bird. Aizawa smirks because, damn it, he done knew it. Yeah, gremlin. Keigo sets him down at his feet. You two lasted longer than I thought you would. So, I'm proud. Fucking Deku. Izuku squeaks, jumps around to hide behind one of the man's wings. Hitoshi glares with the strength of 1,000 suns. Aizawa turns to look at the blonde teen. And Keigo opens his wings slightly, because no, he did not miss the tone such an innocent question was asked with. Eraserhead sighed. What did you just say, Bakugo? The expressive teen jumps up, explosions popping in his hands. What's a shitty Deku doing here? What is he doing with the number 3 hero? Who the fuck does that quirkless nothing think he is? Hitoshi opens his mouth, but Hawks curls a hand around it and pulls him firmly into his side. Okay, first, don't call him a shitty Deku, because it's rude and unbecoming of a hero. You are as you are aspiring to be, and second, he's my assistant. He goes where I go. I'm here, so he's here, and if that's a problem for you, you can take it up with me after class. He hears All Might announce himself as he enters, because of a fucking course he does, and reaches around to snatch up the green before he could do anything, and tightens a grip on the purple just in case. Do I make myself clear? Bakugo glares at his kid. Hitoshi glares back at him with equal amount of intensity and nods sharply as he returns to his seat. They follow at his side when, as him and All Might guide the students down to the city area for training. They, they're standing in the entrance of the city, looking ahead of the building streets. A bird flies overhead, and his brain hatches an idea. Get it? Hatches. Ha. Anyway, he grins. Anyway, and he grins, squeezing the two boys close. How would my grandma and children like to help with training today? Green and Purple turn around, each of them holding his hand slightly. For reals? You mean it? For reals? All Might looks at his younger coworker. Hawks, I don't think it's safe for the number three hero cuts him off with a large glare. Don't underestimate my gremlin children. They can hold their own just fine. Don't worry about them. It's the hero students you should be worried about. My children take no prisoners. Hawks turns his face to the class and smiles. Okay, today's lesson, we're playing cat and mouse. He curls his arms around his two baby birds. My gremlin children are going to hide. Your objective is to find them and secure them. Anything goes, just no murder. He turns down to glare at Green. I'm talking to you. I don't know where you're hiding it, you little shit, but no stabbing people. He turns to Purple on the other side. And you, no having people walk off roofs of buildings. The kid opens his mouth and he shakes his head. No having people do anything that inevitably has them coming off the roof of a building. Purple huffs but nods. He turns them back around. You have 10 minutes. He shoves them forward. Go nuts. Hawks. All Might tries again after the two of them disappear. The boy is quirkless. Are you sure this is a smart move? He could get hurt. The blonde shakes his head, looking down at his wing to straighten an out-of-place feather. He'll be fine. There's a reason I call them my gremlin kids. He turns to the students behind him. The small building just outside the doors, inside a box of trackers, a tablet, and cuffs. All of you get a tracker and a pair of cuffs, and someone bring me the tablet. Your students nod and turned, jogging back the way they came, and he turned back to the city. My gremlin children aren't the ones you should be worried about, even the quirkless one. It's the students you should be concerned over. The students return slowly after Ida hands him the tablet, and he nods. Okay, you've got an hour. If you're taken down, he decides he's going to ignore Bakugo's cocky scoff. You'll stay down and one of us will come and get you. The trackers will tell us if you follow the rules or not. Hawks turns his gaze to the explosive blonde. Anyone who doesn't follow the rules will be immediately expelled. The class and All Might gasped. Now, Hawks, I don't think. The winged hero whirls around on the number one hero and jabs a finger at him. I wouldn't be here if you hadn't let a kid who almost killed someone get away scot-free. You know about UA's open teaching policy, so yes, if anyone breaks the rules, they're expelled. He checks his watch and nods, turning back to the students. Go. Good luck. You're going to need it. Hawks pointedly ignores All Might as he watches the beacons on his tablet. They'd go from green to red when they hit the ground, and he smiles. He loves his gremlin children. Hawks, you're not worried about young Midoriya? Not even a smudge? He turns to the number one hero. Of course, I worry about him because he's my son, and not because he's quirkless. I worry about Hitoshi just as much as I worry about Izuku, regardless of the fact that he is a quirk. He's still a kid, just as Izuku is. Quirkless doesn't mean weakness. All Might, I never really liked you. I thought you were okay, but nothing more. Now, though, because you hurt both my kids, I can't fucking stand you. The winged man turned the tablet back around. Just be ready to go get the kids when they're they are taken down. You should really have more faith in the younger hero. Section 4, between Apple and Cherry Street, next to a mailbox. The hero smiles when All Might takes off, partly because he got rid of the quickest pain in the ass, and partly because he wants to know which one of his gremlin children took them down. All Might returns just moments later with Hiroshima. He looks shell-shocked, like a man who just came back from war. He smiles when the teenager turns to him. The green-haired one, he's fucking terrifying. Hux hums softly. What'd he do? Hiroshima shivered. He had a charged defibrillator and said if I didn't lay the fuck down, he'd see if electric currents could stop my heart. He looked up again. I laid my ass down. The pro hero nodded. Probably the best choice you could have made. Kid, don't sweat it. He turns his attention back to the tablet when it beeps softly. All Might, 7th sector, Georgia Street, next to the high rise. I'm going to fucking kill that kid. The older hero takes off again and hums to himself as he waits for him to return. And he does, within minutes, with Jiro and Ashito, both which look as though they'd seen better days. Battered and bruised, as one would be from falling from some level of a high rise. Ashito stops at his side. Sensei, Hawks, purple is manic. Hawks nods in understanding. What'd he do? The pink skin girl gestures to her and her friend. He shoved me and Jiro out of the 7th-story window. He nods slightly. Do either of you need to go see Recovery Girl? Ashito shakes her head and turns to Jiro, who shakes her head too. And he hums softly. You did good. He turns back to his tablet. All Might, 5th sector in front of the firehouse. All Might returns moments later with Todoroki, his hair and costume signed. He was shaking his head. What happened to you, kid? Okay, here. All Might returns moments later with Todoroki, his hair and costume singed, and he shakes his head. What happened to you, kid? The green-haired one, he had a blowtorch. It was overwhelming. Hawks turns to the older hero incredulously. Where the fuck did he get a blowtorch? The older blonde can only shrug. Slowly but surely, the students were brought back one by one, until one remains, the angry Pomeranian. Yelling and swearing echoes down the street, and they all look up to see Bakugo dragging a furiously struggling cuffed green and not paying attention to his surroundings. Too busy focusing on his captive. Their heads turn when a flash of purple enters the corner of their eyes. Purple creeps around from the street across from the blonde teen. Hawks nods proudly when Purple pops up behind Bakugo, pinches 2 nerves at the base of his neck, and his arms fall limp at his sides. Paralyzed for a temporary amount of time, the class gasps. Some even ask if that's allowed. It causes no real damage, no lasting effects, so he nods. It's allowed. The explosive blonde whirls around on Purple, focusing on him, not seeing Green lower himself into a position they didn't know how, and spring up, using his cuffed hands to vault himself on the blonde shoulders, curling the chain chain the cuffs around his windpipe and arches back, sweeping the ever-pissed teen off his feet. They both lay on their backs with a loud thump. All Might, go get Bakugo. He's out. All Might, go get Bakugo. He's out. Aizawa was not impressed with his class, that is. They returned from their training. When they returned from their training, so you all got taken down by two untrained civilians in less than 40 minutes. Midnight snaps a picture of the resident birdman and his two baby birds with her phone to keep for her sake of it being so precious, and snaps a few more as Green and Purple sleep unaware, their heads resting on Hawk's lap as the man in question goes over the lesson plans for the following day with All Might again. All Might raises his voice when Hawks doesn't cave into his demands for lessons, and the winged hero smacks him sharply, much to the R-rated hero's amusement. She starts recording, and he scratches Purple's head like one does a sleepy cat when the boy stirs. You, would you keep it fucking down? He has a hard time sleeping. If you wake him up, I will literally murder you. Kayama opens their group chat and tags Papa Bird protecting precious baby birds and sends both the pictures and video. It takes a moment, and then the group chat blows up. Keigo hums from the place on the bed, wings completely spread, looking over for a moment when he sees Izuku brush his fingers through the feathers, and to the other side when Hitoshi does the same thing, before returning his gaze to the ceiling above him. No better time to breach a subject than the present, right? He curls an arm under his head. So, either one of you want to tell me why you listed an address of a building that was torn down 4 years ago as your place of residence on your application? He feels both the boys stop petting his feathers. Izuku and Hitoshi exchange glances. He doesn't need to see it, but he can feel it. No, not really. Okay. The blond man nods slightly. Let me rephrase for your benefit. Tell me why you listed an address of a building that was torn down 4 years ago as your place of residence on your application. Hitoshi shakes his head at the Greenet and Izuku grimaces. Because we moved and didn't remember the new address. Keigo turns to look at him. Do you expect me to believe that? The green grimaces again. Yeah. Well, he shakes his head. I do not, so try again. Hitoshi stares at his brother before he says the first thing that comes to mind. We live in Dagoba Beach. He and immediately claps a hand around his mouth because why the fuck doesn't he have a brain to mouth filter? Izuku stares at him. Hito, what the fuck? Purple stares at him with wide eyes and pulls his hand away. I was fucking panicking, okay? I said the first thing that came to my mind, and I have no fucking brain to mouth filter. Wait. They both fell silent as their boss bird raises a hand. Wait. They both look away when gold eyes met theirs for a brief moment. What you're telling me is that, first, you're homeless. Because no, Hitoshi, Dagoba Beach is not a home, and have been living in a trash heap this entire time. Green shrugs slightly. Yeah, but it's not too bad. I get to make inventions. Purple snorts. That usually explode. Green glares at him. Explosion means progress. Keigo heaves a sigh and reaches out to cover their mouths with his hands. Focus, green gremlin children. They nod and he removes his hands. Okay, so back to the Dagoba Beach. How long have you been there? Hitoshi hums. I think we first left when we were 7, right, Izu? I think Izuku nods. Yeah, 7. So we've been there 8 years, give or take. He feels as though he's going to explode because children should not be homeless at the tender age of 7 and come to start living in a middle of a trash beach. Okay, okay. I'll That's messed up. But we'll move on from here. Where were you before you moved to Dogoba? Green grimaces slightly. Uwasha Orphanage. It Is that a question or a statement, baby bird? He sighs softly. Statement, Papa Bird. Right, okay. The winged hero nods. What happened to your parents? Hitoshi mumbles under his breath. My parents dropped me there because of my quirk. Same. Izuku shakes his head slightly. Well, for the lack of a quirk. Keiko hums softly. Why didn't you say? I mean, that was better than Dagoba, right? Pearl shakes his head. Wrong answer. Next question, please. Answer it. Green heaves a sigh. No, no, it was not. At least at Dagoba, we could be people and not just our quirks or lack of therefore. He turns to look at the greenette. Explain, baby bird. Izuku nods faintly. Well, because I was quirkless, they locked me in my room under the claim that they were protecting me, and said Hito had a villainous quirk and muzzled him. We were roommates. That's how we met. We were like 4 or 5, and we formed a plan of escaping hell. And when we were 7, our plan fell into action. He turns to purple. He turns over to the purple boy. They muzzled you? Hiroshi nods. Yep. The way he said it was so casual is so concerning. Oh my oh my god. Keiko covers his face with his hands. My grandma and children, have you been living on a trash covered beach? They both yelp and as they fall over, as he pushes his wings around and curls his arms around them when they're close enough. Okay, baby birds, you're moving in with me. Purple presses his face into his side. No shit. No shit, baby bird. He scratches the kid's head and squeezes Green closer. You two are officially part of the Tokoyami family. Get used to it. It's your new life. Green hums. Is this what having a family feels like? Purple hums in turn. I don't know, Zoo. I've never had one before. Keiko whines, and they laugh at him. I'm so sad for my baby birds. The USJ. A place Izuku and Hitoshi had only ever heard about, but never thought they'd even actually. So when Papa Bird told them that today's class would be there with Aizawa and Yamada and All Might, unfortunately, they literally screamed loudly because they could. Donning their favorite eraser hoodies just to make the men groan and mutter about problem children, they pointedly ignored All Might's objections when Aizawa and Keiko that they were participating in the lesson, which almost made them cry. Admittedly, no jokes. It was like a game of capture the flag and hide and seek, all mixed in one. The two of them would hide, and the students had 90 minutes to find them and bring them back to the teachers. The students wait outside. Hawks grins at his grandma children, bouncing in place, because, damn it, they had a perfect place to hide, and waves them off. Go, little gremlins, you have 10 minutes to find your hiding place. No moving once you find it, stay there. And yes, I know if you move because of your trackers. Hiroshi and Izuku bump fist, turn, and dart away together. All Might watches them disappear. Hawks, are you sure that All Might, if you are insisting my kids are weak, because his quirklessness one more time, I will have absolutely no hesitation to punch you in the face and stab you with one of my feathers. Aizawa hums tiredly. I want to see just how my hero students got bested by two untrained civilians. Chaos spares him a glance. You won't be let down. Oh my god! The three of them turn to the voice hero when he explains in shock, how did they get up there? They, and there, they were the gremlin problem children. There, there was a high support beam above their heads, high above their heads. They were balancing carefully, arms held out, as they moved slowly across the beam and sit, legs dangling over the edge of the beam, swinging slightly, as they signed to each other. All Might gasped, we must get them down. It's unsafe. Hawks waved his concern away, smiling and waving. When the baby birds looked down at them, they waved back. They do this all the time at Arrow. They'll be fine. Azal grins. The gremlin problem children, have potential. Yamada gives them a thumbs up when they look down again. No one keeps an eye out for the Arrow attacks. Ko nods. That's what makes my job somewhat so easy. You'd think there'd be an epiphany that, hey, there's heroes that can fly, but no, there hasn't been one. All Might protests, but quickly falls silent. The winged hero glared at the man. I'll go get the students. No, Eraserhead stops him. I'll go get the students. They all know All Might would have told them exactly where they were just because of his prejudice and mindset that Midoriya shouldn't be involved because he's fragile and quirkless. Izuku could stab All Might in the eye before he even knew he was there. The underground hero leads the students in and waves around. Okay, okay, brats. Your objective? The gremlins have hidden themselves somewhere in the OSJ. Your objective is to locate them and bring them back here. You have 90 minutes. They stand there watching them, and Aizawa snaps, go! Then they all leave to complete their mission, and noticeably no one looks up. Teo hums, tapping his clipboard slightly. How long would it take Nezu to expect the adoption process? Yamada turns and grins at him. Why? Aizawa stares. He stares and looks at Aizawa. Are you adopting someone? He huffs. Yes, I'm adopting someone's. The dark, the dark man hand, the dark-haired man snorts. It's about time you made it official. We thought you already done it, so when you two arrived. Seriously? The voice here nods. We thought you were already your baby birds. We thought they were already your baby birds. He rubs his hands together before pulling out his phone. Kayama is going to love this. Aizawa sighs. Honestly, knowing that rat, he would probably have it completed in a day. Probably less. I wouldn't be surprised if he had done it in an hour. All Might adds to the conversation. What would the Hero Commission think about the number 2 hero adopting a quirkless child? Ko growls and whirls around, punching the number 1 hero in the face and jabbing a finger at him as he stumbles back. If you say one more quirkiest thing about my kid, I'll report you for quirkless discrimination. They will have a hell lot more to say about that. He turns back, looking up to check on his baby birds, smiling at them playing rock, paper, scissors, and heaves a sigh. Besides, the president is terrified of them, and yes, that includes quirkless Izuku, All Might. Mizu snorts. What do the problem children do? Hawks chuckles at the memory of it. He'd never been so amused and so angry all in one moment in his entire life. They were hanging out in my support department, apparently. They weren't being monitored because they chased her out of my agency with a blowtorch and a modified machine gun, threatening to come back threatening to come back after her and her people if they didn't leave Papa Hawks the fuck alone. Aizawa and Yamada laughed softly, but didn't doubt the agency, the authority of the story. I got a phone, but didn't. I got a phone call the next day, informing me of the incident and how they would only check on me once a month. I was pissed, but I was thankful. Hawks, you should not praise such disgraceful behavior. All my amishes. They should have been greatly punished. Hold up. Keigo turns and glances at him. I never said they got away with it. I just said they did it. They were punished accordingly. Not that it's any of your business. They know the lines. They shouldn't be crossed. They know what lines shouldn't be crossed. All Might hums. And how exactly did you reprimand them for this behavior? He glares at the older hero. How they were punished is none of your damn business. All you need to know is that they were, and that is it. Azawa hums slowly at his side. Tough love? Keo nods. Tough love. He shakes his head fondly. Apparently, I have this tone that they call angry papa bird tone. And and when they hear it, they know that a it's going to be a pleasant time. It's not going to be a pleasant time. Yama chuckles softly. I can only imagine using this tone often. He chuckles softly, at least 3 times a month. You'd think they'd learn. It's never the same reason though, so I guess there's that. The older hero hums, intrigued. What was the last thing that you used that tone for on? The Hawks laughed, and the boys glanced up at his boys. They made a bomb. Well, Izuku did most of the work, but Hitoshi was the one who produced the explosive from God knows where, and nearly blew up my entire support department. Yamada laughs, cackling up. What happened to your support department? The younger blonde shakes his head. Thankfully, one of my sidekicks was in support at the time and had a shielding quirk that contained the blast and dragged them to my office by the ear. All Might huffs in disapproval. They sound like delinquents. Yeah, they are, but they're my delinquents. Azawa shakes his head in amusement. I'm glad they're your problem children and not mine. He checks the time on his phone and nods. And that's time. I have to say, I'm slightly disappointed in my students. Keo passes the clipboard over to Yamada as the alarm echoed around the building, signaling the end of their lesson, and stepped forward. Per- Positioning himself under his Goemon children and gesturing for one of them to come down. Toshi grins and jumps. The approaching students scream and dart forward as though they think the hero won't catch him, and he grunts, knees bending slightly when he catches the first of the 2 children and quickly turns back for the second child, settling him on his feet next to his brother. Azawa grins and comes to stand by his side. You all failed. Oh my god! Kayama shouts when they enter the teacher's lounge the following day. It's official. There are 2 little Takamis running around. Green and purple grin. Keigo heaves an exasperated sigh when they curl around him but hugs them back nonetheless, pulling them down with him on the couch. Yeah, 2 little Takamis. They're little shits, but Papa Bird loves them anyway. That was the end of the re-recording of Dusty Rings Off You As You Rise. I hope you enjoyed my sunrays. I personally think this turned out way better than my first recording. A lot less stuttering and all that jazz. But I hope you did enjoy this, and yeah, I hope you're having a good day or night, and I will see you all next time.